Hugh here again with another edition of Press Play. This time I'm sitting down with filmmaker Benjamin Hosking to talk about his short film. Well, a myriad of things, but we definitely need to address this short film. So, Benjamin, how are you, sir?
I am good. I am very good. I have an apple. I have my seltzer water. We're good to go.
Perfect. Everything you need to be
All you
able to
really need
make
in life.
it. That's
Yeah.
true. An apple and seltzer. I have a mug full of water. I am also ready to go.
Love it. Love it.
Thanks so much for sitting down and chatting
Yeah.
with me. I'm a huge film fan. I'm a film buff. I got sent your short and I watched it this morning, and I gotta say, it was pretty affecting.
Thanks.
And yeah, 100%. And so we'll just kind of get right into that up front. Um, can you tell us a little bit about the film? The film is called, is it, I'm gonna screw this up, but
It's okay. It's a long name.
and I Miss You Like a Little Kid.
Perfect.
Aha.
Yes.
Nailed it. Now
Yes.
I have to
On it.
ask right off the
Yeah.
top, any relation to the Phoebe Bridger
Of
lyric?
course. Of course.
Okay,
Huge Phoebe.
100%. Because as soon
100%.
as I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I've heard this line somewhere. Where did I hear this? And then I was like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
for
it's a
motion
Phoebe Bridger
sickness.
song.
Yeah, it's for
Yes.
Motion Sickness, which is one of her songs from her first album, Stranger in the Alps. I loved Phoebe's work for a long time, even before her
Same.
more recent album. And that song, is very much about a character going through an emotionally abusive relationship. And the full lyric is, I hate you for what you did, and I miss you like a little kid, which is kind of encapsulates the complexities that a lot of people in abusive relationships feel with their abuser, because a lot of times people are in them for what they feel are the right reasons.
Sure. Yeah, 100% understood. So, I mean, if people haven't picked up by now, your short deals very kind of
Yeah.
explicitly with abusive relationships. It touches on topics of kind of like queer lifestyle discovery, on top of a toxic relationship, on top of depression and how people deal with those things. There's so much to unpack in this film.
Yeah.
What kind of led you to put this together?
Sure. Yeah. So when I came to AFI, so it's an AFI thesis that I did for my master's. I came to AFI for with the intent of making something about childhood mental health. I'm a kid who grew up with a lot of depression and anxiety, and I wanted to make a movie about that and the family that raised me. Um, and then I kind of had a come to Jesus moment, because I found myself trapped in a relationship not unlike the one depicted in the movie at the beginning of COVID. And
Sure.
I was in it for about 6 months, and at the end of it, it was like a whirlwind. I was like sitting in a Denny's, wondering, how the fuck did I just get here? And a few months later, I decided that that would be what I wanted to do my film about, which is about a male survivor of domestic abuse during COVID.
Yeah, which I love too. And I think, the public zeitgeist is much more aware of, I think now, and I don't even want to dive into the circus of
We
it,
don't
but
have
the Amber Heard Johnny
to.
Depp trial stuff. But I think it is kind of alerting people. A lot of people don't, when they think abusive relationships, they don't often automatically go to that the male may be the abused
Yeah,
party in a relationship.
yeah.
And so
It's one in
right off
four.
the bat, I thought that was amazing. I thought that was such a
Thanks.
great perspective to tell a story. And I gotta say too, it kind of, I don't know if it was intentional, but it showed me a lot about myself, because some of my predeterminations of what I assumed I was about to watch did not unfold in the way that I thought I was going to watch them.
Interesting.
Um,
Interesting. I'd be curious.
and I don't know if that's my own biases, you know what I mean, that I bring with it. But I liked that. That actually,
Good.
it challenged me. It made me go, "Oh, well, here I am immediately assuming that, this is going to play out in a different relationship dynamic." And so I thought that that was great and, very well done. I have to ask, the casting of this short as well, I feel like has a lot to do with how well it's kind of executed. How did you get connected with your cast? First off, please name drop your
Yes.
cast. You have a
Yeah.
great one.
So our two leads, our supporting are great as well, and I'll name drop them as well. But our two leads were Terry Reeves, who was in, and she plays Clarissa. She was in The Punisher. She was in Chicago Fire. She was in a lot of solid TV roles. She's done a ton of theater. She was great. And then Chris. So Chris Zilka is a real star, in my opinion. And he was in every episode of The Leftovers on HBO, which is kind of a cult classic. A lot of filmmakers know The
Love them.
Leftovers. Not as many film people, maybe not everybody does, but it's one of the best shows, I think, of the last 10 years. He plays opposite Justin Theroux as Justin Theroux's character's son.
Yep.
Chris was also in a ton of teen heartthrob stuff going all the way back to the early 2010s. And he's also incidentally, he was also engaged to Paris Hilton for a hot minute, but that has nothing to do with his acting. He's a very
That's just a fun fact.
That's a fun fact. He was engaged to Paris Hilton, but yeah. So Chris is great. So how we get connected? So I had a wonderful casting director named Jamie Castro. I'll name drop her because she was awesome. Who I cold reached out to through the Casting Society of America, which is like their professional org. So I reached out to her, and she connected with the script, and then she went to their agents with the project. We had it with quite a few people. Chris was a very early sign on, and then Terry was a late but wonderful find. And I'm so glad I got to work with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they really embodied these characters, and I gotta say too, I was a little bit surprised because I recognized Chris, I recognized both of them, I recognized Terry and Chris, but I feel like for Chris especially, this is not necessarily the role that he is normally cast in, like by a far stretch. A lot of people know him as Flash Thompson from
also Amazing Spider-Man,
the Amazing
right?
Spider-Man, where he is the complete opposite of this type of character. He is the bully, you know, your kind of stereotypical toxic male. And in this, it's a very kind of nuanced performance. You know what I mean? It's very downplayed. It's very kind of quiet and internal. But I also have to say that I don't think I've seen Terry play a character like this either. I think they were both pretty. These are pretty different characters than what they're normally cast at, and I think they both nailed it. Like high praise for both of them.
Thanks. I actually think kind of answers a little bit of your own question in a way, because one of the reasons they would do a low budget student short is because it'd be a role that they are not typically cast for, or typically play.
I love that.
And you're 100% right with Chris. Yeah, Flash Thompson, Amazing Spider-Man. I'm just not a huge superhero like buff, so I don't know all of them. But I know The Leftovers. What's so interesting is that in The Leftovers, I saw glimmers of what could be the kind of really sensitive, vulnerability that he brings to the character of Jason in my film. And that was where I got the idea. I was like, Chris, let me try and see if we can get him. And I got really lucky. But yeah, no, they're in their typical roles. No. And for context, like Terry's actually a Brazilian jiu-jitsu like black belt. And I had coffee with her the other day, and it's just, she's so sweet and lovely and like wonderful. And then she plays this character that is not those things.
No, is very kind of like fierce, off-putting in a lot of ways. So I always ask this as a writer myself. Usually when I'm writing something, there's some sort of like things that I'm working out or working through, whether it's, at a very surface level or sometimes it's a very deep personal level. What kind of inspired some of the characters and the ways that they were portrayed when you put this film together?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it was drawing on my experiences, but also the experiences of other friends of mine, both women and men, who'd been in relationships like this. I think one of the things that I had to like work out and like really figure out while I was writing this is, why would someone like me or someone else be in a relationship like this in the first place? Because it's very clear early on, red flag, red flag, red flag. And what I learned is that most people stay in abusive relationships out of hope, because they're hoping that their abuser is going to change back into the saint and the angel, the whatever, at the beginning of their relationship. So for the first 2 to 3 months of these relationships. It's a honeymoon phase. It's glorious. It's wonderful. You feel so much love. You get love bombed. And then after that, it starts cracking and eventually becomes a cycle of abuse. And what I learned is that I was staying in that relationship because I had low self esteem and still had hope she'd
Mm,
change. And similarly, the character has low self esteem and still has hope that she'll change. And you don't really leave these things until that hope is gone. And you also don't leave them by yourself.
sure.
One of the other like parts of the film is like he gets out by reaching out to a family member. And I
Yeah,
think that is sometimes often forgotten about these situations is it takes a village to get people out and keep them safe after these relationships.
and that it's okay. Toxic
Yeah,
relationships can be very isolating. That's one of the key parts of these toxic or abusive relationships. And so, I find it interesting that you portrayed the character, who is, we'll say Chris's character is definitely kind of a meek character.
yeah,
Um,
I would agree.
but I think it's interesting that people also kind of tend to look negatively on a close son mother relationship.
Yeah,
Um, so I think it like that's what was fascinating because I'm pretty close to my
yeah,
mom. And so
same.
there was just a lot of little things that I'm like, man, these are all things that like really aren't talked about a lot, or if
Yeah,
they are talked about, are usually portrayed in kind of like a negative, jokey fashion. Um,
yeah.
so I just love that you treated them with respect and that these
Oh,
type of
thanks.
characters got that level of, you know, um, I think I said it best with respect. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the best
yep.
thing is
One word's good. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, the film felt very respectful of its characters, and
Thank
not
you.
turning them into like caricatures and I think when you're dealing with things like abuse and you're dealing with things like mental health, I think
Yeah,
it can be easy to kind of go into that caricature kind of range. And so I really appreciate it when it's done with a little more nuance. And I think your film did that well. So I have to ask too, obviously this film
please.
takes place during COVID. How was
Yes.
your COVID experience?
Well,
Aside from the
obviously,
film.
right from the start of it, well, it wasn't great, but I watched a lot of movies. So ever since, I mean, I will say like I got out and I'm in a great place now, and I have like a lot of friends and a wonderful like relationship now, and all these things actually went really well after that. My COVID experience overall, I mean, it was interesting. I went to film school during a pandemic.
Sure.
This was an AFI thesis, so my second year was almost entirely online, with the exception of
Crazy.
production. And that was a kind of a it was I mean, I wouldn't say it was a great experience, but I don't regret it. I think that, I learned a lot about myself during the pandemic. It was a interesting um, observation I had with someone recently, which is that people who experienced depression prior to the pandemic had actually an easier time dealing with the pandemic than people who'd never experienced like the kind of isolation that the pandemic brought. And
Sure.
so for me, I feel like actually the pandemic I coped with fairly well. But I have a lot of, I mean, ever since making this film, I've shared it with a lot of people, and they've been like, I was in this position either before or during the pandemic with my partner, and I had to get out. And I just that's kind of the takeaway I've gotten is how common these experiences are.
Yeah. I would say that in talking with a bunch of people who experienced the pandemic on kind of different response levels, I would say one of the things that is kind of universal is that the pandemic was kind of like a real like litmus test for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like it really, it kind of sifted through and in a lot of places like
Yeah,
really kind of blew
yeah,
up issues that were maybe under the surface for a lot of people that people
yeah,
maybe didn't have the time or were distracted by their daily goings on to really examine. So I like that. I like that. We all have that kind of common thread, and I think that makes your film easy to connect to. Is everybody, whether you've been in an abusive relationship or not, or whether you've been to the kind of going through these extremes, I think that there's something very like at a core visceral level that everybody universally understands. Um,
yeah. We were all in COVID, and a lot of us live with our partners. So I think on that level, we all know that life. Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm assuming you went through the large collection of movies and stuff behind you.
Yeah, I did. I did
But right,
actually.
yeah,
I've watched an inordinate amount of VHS tapes.
okay.
Um,
Are you a VHS fan?
disgustingly so. Yeah, so these are all
Oh,
these are
yeah,
all VHS. I'm a VHS collector.
I love it.
And my wife, I was just stockpiling VHS, and she was like, "You
Yeah.
know what? My wife is definitely the better eye for decoration than I am."
Okay.
She's like,
Yeah.
"That would make a really great background for you
I
when you're
agree.
doing these things." And I was like, "Yeah, but then they're harder to access to watch." And she was like, "Yes, but it's for the aesthetics." And so now all of my VHS collection has become a makeshift throne
I love
behind
it.
my
It's honestly great.
chair
I
here.
was
Thanks.
really impressed.
I I always said it's for when I have boring Zoom meetings with people during COVID.
Yeah.
That if
Yeah.
I am super boring, they can at least just like pay attention and try and find their favorite movies behind me.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great collection you've got over there.
Thanks.
I must
I
admit,
appreciate that.
that I do you collect vinyl? Are you a vinyl guy?
I do. I have a record player
Okay.
on the other side of my computer
Oh,
setup here.
there you go. And for the other the other half, yeah.
As much dead media as possible.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I
I take
feel
that back. Vinyl is very much alive. VHS
very much alive.
dead and never coming back.
VHS, yeah, I mean, there's still you can still find them occasionally, but,
Sure.
you know, I think DVDs killed it, and then,
Uh, uh,
yeah, streaming,
well,
and
there's
here we
no.
are.
I often have that discussion with people because they're like, "Why do you collect VHS?" And I'm like, "VHS collecting is purely nostalgia based. Like
Oh, yeah.
you will not find a single person who is like, well, the quality of VHS was actually better than." And no, it's not.
No.
It's not true in any, any circumstance. It's
But are you really living if you don't have The Sandlot on VHS you put
so
in when
true.
you were recovering from, like, illness as a child? Are you really a millennial if you haven't done that?
No, and honestly, nothing sparks joy quite like popping in that Home Alone VHS tape and
Oh, yeah.
seeing the, like, baseball Pizza Hut commercial before it that I
Oh, yeah.
remembered as a kid, and
I forgot about the
immediately
fact
I'm
there were
like,
commercials. I forgot there
"Yeah,
were commercials at
exactly,
the beginning of your
not
home
just
media.
trailers, you get
Oh, you're
full-on
so right.
commercials." It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Oh,
It was
man,
a different time then.
forgot that, yeah. It was a different time, although apparently ad-supported streaming is coming back, so who knows where we are anymore,
Totally,
man.
100%. I watch a lot of my content now through a Plex server that I have set up,
Oh,
and
there you go.
Plex has integrated a way that you can actually choose to have trailers and commercials in front of your programming to make it feel more natural, I guess. Not
Amazing.
like I'm just watching a bunch of stuff off of a computer hard drive.
Yeah, I mean, those 44-minute episodes, they're intended to be watched with 16 minutes of commercials interspersed.
Definitely.
Otherwise, are you really
100%.
getting the full experience of,
No.
like, Battlestar
Every
Galactica?
6 minutes, I want the tension of what I'm watching to be
Yeah.
interrupted by a Tide commercial. That is what I want.
Yeah. I mean, how else are you gonna, like, build the suspense to, the spaceship exploding, right?
Exactly. We're currently Project Nerd is looking at putting together a OTT app platform where we're going to host some streaming content as well.
Love it.
And this was actually a very big conversation with us because we're like, we need to have ads because it helps pay the
Yeah,
bills, but
right.
we don't want 37 Progressive insurance commercial ads.
Yeah.
Instead, we're like, how do you like we want to support the things that we like and
Mhm.
not necessarily like just the
37 progressive ads.
progressive insurance ads. Exactly.
Who has actually
But yeah, that's
bought progressive insurance off of those ads? That's the question I wanna know.
no one. Well, clearly somebody because they're spending a
Someone.
lot of money on it, right? So somebody
Yeah.
somebody is watching Chicago Fire one night and that Progressive Insurance comes on and that's what it is. They're like, "You know what? This show's all about fires. Fires could happen. I need insurance." You know what I
Ooh,
mean?
very astute. You're probably right.
There's logic in that.
How much of the insurance ads are just tailored to, like, disaster movies and disaster shows?
Not enough. I will tell you
Not
that.
enough.
I would
Yeah.
100% like it if I was watching Moonfall and there was like, some sort of like hail insurance or something like something falling on your house.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a missed opportunity. I would enjoy
Yeah,
that.
where's
I
State
would be
Farm?
like,
State Farm needs to be there. Like, where is it?
they
It needs
do
to be
need to
there
be
for
there. It's very
Moonfall.
important. What if the moon falls? I need my house protected.
Meet State Farm.
Now I have to ask, obviously
Please.
this is a very heavy subject matter film. What is that kind of the play or the sandbox that you want to keep playing in and drama, or do you have kind of other genres
Yeah.
that you want to branch out into?
I think all my work deals with mental health, and it's not always the pretty like Silver Linings Playbook side of mental health. I love
Sure.
that movie. It's mental health is really complicated, and so my work is primarily psychological dramas and psychological thrillers. Um, there's of course humor that can be interspersed in those things, but most of my work is, I would say, on the darker side, but with the caveat that I personally like movies that end with a note of hope at the end. Like there's a world in which this film could have ended with him not leaving, or it being much more like sad and so on. But I wanted there to be hope that life goes on, and that
Sure.
people with mental health issues, the end of the movie doesn't mean it's the end of their like life or their journey. Like there's more to life after that.
Sure.
And so like a lot of my work, I'm putting people through the ringer. Like that's what my features are. I'm putting them through the ringer, but then they come out on the other side, having learned something and grown and looking forward to a brighter future.
Yeah, I love that. So many people are quick to go to, how you get them? The negative ending. Just like really, really, yeah, I want a really downturn film with a really downturn ending.
Did you see The Northman?
I just watched it last night, as a matter of
And did you
fact.
see Green Knight?
I did. That one
Okay,
I watched months ago, but yes.
right. Okay, so liked the ending of The Green Knight. Didn't like
Yes.
the ending of Northman
Agreed.
for the exact reasons I just outlined. So no
Yeah, 100
spoilers, but those are the
yeah, no
reasons.
spoilers. 100% agreed.
Yeah,
If you're gonna have, I'm a totally in that camp that if you're going to have an intense kind of, I hate to say a slog of a watch because it's not. It's just like a heavy kind of dark
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Then I need some sort of reprieve. Otherwise, I don't enjoy my film going experience as much. I find
Bingo.
personally.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there there is there's hope to be found in any dark circumstance, and I think that one of my responsibilities as a filmmaker who wants an audience to come out of the movie not feeling dead inside, but ideally feeling some kind of humanist hope for people, then
Sure.
it's my responsibility to give them some kind of hope at the end. But I agree with you. Like I feel robbed at the end of a movie if it's like everything's horrible, everybody dies, the whole thing is for shit. Like
Yeah.
that.
Well, then I
I feel
just
like
go back to life.
why did I come
And
here?
I'm
I
like,
could have just like watched Ukraine footage or something. Like
exactly. If I wanted to be depressed, I would just look around
yeah,
all day.
yeah, exactly.
Now, speaking of a glimmer of hope, what sort of
Please.
hope do people have for your next project? When can they
Ah,
see it? What are you working on? When is that happening?
yeah. So in addition, so there's this film that I'm premiering at Dances of Films, animated like little kid.
Yes.
And I am developing that into a 6-part limited series. I'm going out and pitching that. And then in addition to that, there's a feature I'm planning to shoot in Seattle. Probably I think we're scheduled for end of August, beginning of September. Like that kind of like window there,
Yeah.
where we're gonna do a film about a woman trying to connect in a relationship whilst having a very severe personality disorder, and her learning
Ooh,
how to reconnect with society after enduring trauma from her family and from her childhood.
ooh, interesting,
Yeah.
intriguing, intriguing, intriguing.
It's,
How far along in the pre-production are you on that?
yeah, so we've
Have
got a
you
script, and it's just a matter of getting scheduling going. So
Nice. Well, I
yeah, I
look
have
forward to
talked
that.
a couple cast, but yeah, I mean it's one of those indie features where you kind of just have to just go do it. So that's
Sure. Totally.
so we set dates and we're gonna go film something. Probably that.
Nice. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Well, that all sounds great. Are you
thanks.
excited about the premiere of this film?
Yeah, so the premiere, I'm very excited. It'll be at the Chinese theaters on June 11th at 12:30 p.m.
Awesome.
Tickets are on the Dances with Films website, and I hope that people come and see it. I mean, I know that the tickets are going fast for that shorts group, from what I heard. So
Sure.
definitely get your tickets.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it. That's so exciting. Now I'll kind of take us out on this.
sure.
First off, as a film fan, like we've covered, uh, I'm so happy that I can see things in theaters with people again.
Oh yeah,
Um, and so I have to
I
ask, as a
cried.
filmmaker,
I
say that
cried the
again.
first time. I cried when I went back to the theater the first time,
Same,
and like The like just like even it was like the Universal like pre-lap like logo coming out. And I was like, oh,
I'll
it
tell
was
you what,
great.
my first film back
Yeah.
was another film that I loved and I cried for multiple reasons, but Pig, Nicolas
Oh my
Cage.
god, my favorite movie of last year.
Yes,
Yes,
same.
yes,
100% agreed.
best movie of
I
2021.
described it after I left the theater. People were like, "So what is Pig?" Because I will say that was out of all the marketing material, and with Nicolas Cage in the driver's seat, you're kind of like, I don't know what to expect from this
No.
movie. It's about a truffle pig and a guy. I explained it like this. I feel like Pig is John Wick if instead of using violence, he used words and emotions to take down people.
And food and the love for food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
That's a
It's a
really
beautiful
great way.
film.
It's a great way to put it. Yeah, go see Pig,
Thanks.
people. The Pig is fucking great.
That's what we're here to promote.
That's what we're
Pig.
here for,
Everybody go
Pig.
see it.
Let's see what
The
it's all
best
about.
movie of 2021.
Yeah.
But no, so I have to say, have you gotten to screen this film yet with people? Or is
So this
this
will be our
going to
first
be
this is our first theatrical screening. I mean, we did our
that's
little test
awesome.
screening, but yeah, this is our first theatrical screening with a real audience. I'm really excited. And if people are interested in following more about the film, I'm just going to drop the Instagram handle real quick because we will be
Yes,
updating with
please.
future screenings there. So it's at and I miss you like a little kid. That's it. So it's in
Perfect.
the
And then they
title,
can
but
find you online as well, right?
yeah, and then
And I miss you like a little kid.com.
exactly. Exactly. I managed to get that URL. Thank goodness.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed and very grateful that Phoebe Bridger hasn't sent you a cease and desist yet.
We will find out. It's inspired by that lyric. We'll find out.
she'll
Yeah,
she'll be like, actually, what if she what if she got a hold of you and was like,
yeah.
actually, I would love for you to figure out how to include that song in this short film.
There was a hot second where we were considering trying to license it as the end credits
Oh,
song, but it's that would be probably too much for our small budget.
completely
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Completely
Maybe on the
understood.
feature,
Well,
our feature or series, we might do it then.
I would love that. And
Yeah,
if so, when I'm watching it, I'm gonna be like, knew it. Yes, he
called
got
it.
it. He did it. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much, Benjamin, for sitting down and chatting with me. It's been a pleasure. I hope
Thank you.
people check
Likewise.
out your film, and I Miss You Like a Little Kid. It's absolutely fantastic. If you get the opportunity and you're in the area of the Chinese theater, please go check it out. Buy tickets. What's the dates again?
It's June 11th, midday,
June
12:30.
11th. June 11th. Absolutely go check it out. You've been awesome. I sincerely
Thank you.
appreciate it. I hopefully come back when you get
I
this
look
series picked
forward
up,
to
the
it.
limited series made and picked up. Come back. I'd love to talk to you about it again.
Me too. Awesome. Thanks, Q.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Have a great one. And we'll catch you next time. Make sure you guys stay tuned to project-nerd.com for all of your latest film, fan, and fun updates. Go check us out on YouTube. That's YouTube at project-nerd. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time, hopefully at the movies.